Focus is not something you find. It is something you rebuild. In a world engineered to fragment attention, discipline has quietly become a forgotten virtue. Stoicism does not promise motivation, excitement, or shortcuts. It offers something far more valuable: control. Control over your reactions, your time, and your inner world. The Stoics understood that focus is not about doing more, but about eliminating what weakens the mind. They trained themselves to act with clarity even in chaos, to remain unmoved by distractions, and to direct their energy toward what truly mattered. This work is not about productivity tricks or surface-level habits. It is about truth, hard truths that strip away comfort and expose responsibility. These Stoic truths are uncomfortable because they demand ownership. They force you to confront how much of your distraction is self-inflicted, how often you trade long-term mastery for short-term relief, and how deeply discipline is tied to character. Each chapter will explore one Stoic truth that sharpens focus and rebuilds discipline from the inside out. These are not ideas to admire, but principles to live by. Read slowly, reflect honestly, apply relentlessly. Focus is not increased by inspiration, but by alignment between thought and action. That alignment is discipline, and discipline, once restored, changes everything. You do not lack focus because the world is distracting. You lack focus because you have not decided what deserves your full attention. The Stoics believed that clarity of purpose is the foundation of discipline. When the mind is undecided, it wanders. When values are vague, attention scatters. Most people attempt to fix their focus by controlling their environment, but Stoicism teaches that focus is strengthened by controlling judgment. The mind chases everything when it stands for nothing in particular. Every distraction is an invitation, and you are the one accepting it. Notifications, entertainment, endless information, none of these force themselves upon you. They are chosen, often unconsciously. The Stoics would argue that the real problem is not distraction itself, but the absence of a higher commitment. When something truly matters to you, trivial things lose their power. Focus sharpens naturally when desire is disciplined. Indecision drains mental energy. Each unresolved priority creates noise in the mind. The Stoic approach is ruthless simplicity. Decide what is essential and discard the rest, not later, now. Focus is not about multitasking or balance. It is about exclusion. You cannot pursue excellence while keeping every door open. Discipline begins the moment you accept that saying yes to one thing requires saying no to many others. Most people confuse motion with progress. They stay busy to avoid confronting the deeper question of direction. Stoicism demands stillness before action. You must know where you are going before you can move with intensity. Without a clear aim, effort becomes exhausting and focus becomes fragile. The disciplined mind does not rush. It advances deliberately. Attention follows meaning. If your work feels empty, your mind will search for stimulation elsewhere. The Stoics believed that meaning is created through duty, not pleasure. When you commit to a responsibility greater than comfort, your focus strengthens. You endure boredom because you understand purpose. You resist temptation because you value mastery. The mind rebels when it senses contradiction. If you claim something is important but treat it casually, your attention will not obey you. Discipline requires integrity between belief and behavior. You cannot train focus while living inconsistently. The Stoics practiced daily reflection to align their actions with their principles. This alignment eliminates inner conflict, and inner conflict is the enemy of focus. You must decide what kind of person you are becoming. Focus is not a tool, it is a reflection of identity. When you see yourself as disciplined, your actions follow. When you see yourself as scattered, distraction becomes normal. Stoicism teaches that identity is shaped through repeated choices. Each moment of attention is a vote for the person you are building. Many people wait for motivation to focus. The Stoics waited for nothing. They understood that discipline precedes desire. You act first and clarity follows. Focus improves through use, not contemplation. Every time you return your attention to what matters, you strengthen it. Every time you give in to impulse, you weaken it. The mind must be trained like a muscle. Left unchallenged, it seeks comfort. Trained under resistance, it seeks strength. Stoic discipline introduces voluntary difficulty to sharpen attention. By choosing what is hard, you reduce the power of what is tempting. Focus becomes resilient because it has been tested. You cannot control external chaos, but you can control where your mind rests. The Stoics practice directing attention inward, to effort rather than outcome. When you focus on what is within your control, distractions lose relevance. The mind settles because it knows its role. Clarity is a decision repeated daily. Focus is the reward for commitment. When you choose your priority and honor it consistently, discipline stops feeling forced. It becomes natural. The Stoics did not chase focus. They earned it through resolve, simplicity, and unwavering intention. And so can you. Discipline collapses the moment you believe your emotions deserve authority. The Stoics were clear on this point. Feelings are information, not commands. When emotions govern action, focus becomes unstable because emotions are unstable. A disciplined mind does not eliminate emotion, but it refuses to be led by it. Most people lose focus not because tasks are difficult, but because they expect effort to feel good. Stoicism rejects this expectation completely. You will not always feel ready. You will not always feel motivated. Waiting for the right emotional state is how discipline slowly dies. The Stoics trained themselves to act according to reason, not mood. Reason asks what must be done. Emotion asks what feels easiest. Focus survives only when reason is given the final word. Comfort is the most dangerous emotion of all. It disguises itself as rest, reward, or balance, but often it is avoidance. The Stoics warned that comfort weakens resolve by dulling urgency. When life feels too easy, the mind becomes lazy and attention dissolves. Discipline requires friction. Without resistance, focus has nothing to push against. Most distractions are emotional escapes. You scroll to avoid boredom. You procrastinate to avoid discomfort. You seek stimulation to avoid silence. Stoicism teaches that avoidance trains weakness. Each time you flee from discomfort, your tolerance shrinks. Focus requires the opposite response, staying present when the mind wants to run. The Stoics practiced voluntary hardship, not to punish themselves, but to harden their attention. By choosing discomfort intentionally, they reduced fear of it. When discomfort is no longer threatening, it stops interrupting focus. You can concentrate longer because you are no longer negotiating with your feelings. Emotional impulsivity fractures attention. One urge pulls the mind here, another pulls it there. The Stoic solution is restraint, not suppression, but pause. Between impulse and action, they inserted reason. That pause is where discipline lives. Focus strengthens each time you delay gratification and choose intention instead. You are not required to obey every feeling you experience. This truth alone can rebuild discipline. The Stoics believed freedom comes from self-command. If your emotions dictate your behavior, you are ruled. Focus is an act of self-rule. It is the decision to remain with what matters, even when the mind protests. Many people confuse emotional honesty with emotional indulgence. Stoicism does not deny pain, frustration, or fatigue. It acknowledges them, then proceeds anyway. Focus deepens when you stop arguing with reality. The task is difficult, the effort is tiring, and still, it must be done. Acceptance conserves energy that resistance wastes. The mind seeks relief before it seeks progress. Discipline reverses this order. Progress becomes the relief. The Stoics understood that satisfaction comes from endurance, not escape. When you finish what you start despite discomfort, confidence grows. That confidence stabilizes focus over time. Emotional reactivity creates urgency where none exists. A message feels important. A thought feels pressing. A desire feels immediate. The Stoic response is distance. They trained themselves to see impressions as temporary. When urgency dissolves, attention returns to its chosen target. Focus fails when emotions are treated as emergencies. Not every feeling requires action. Not every urge requires response. Discipline is the ability to let emotions pass without following them. The Stoics called this inner calm. but it was built through effort, not avoidance. You must expect resistance. The mind resists structure because structure removes options. Focus demands commitment, and commitment threatens comfort. Stoicism teaches you to anticipate this resistance and proceed anyway. When resistance is expected, it loses power. Emotions fluctuate. Principles remain. The Stoics anchored their lives to principles so their focus would not drift with feeling. When you act according to principle, attention becomes steady. You no longer chase what feels good. You pursue what is right. Discipline is not cruelty toward yourself, it is honesty. It is acknowledging that feelings are unreliable guides. Focus is preserved when you stop asking how you feel and start asking what is required. This shift alone multiplies mental strength. You cannot train focus in moments of ease. It is forged under discomfort. Each time you remain with a task despite emotional resistance, you reinforce control. Over time, focus stops being a struggle. It becomes a habit. The Stoics did not seek emotional numbness, they sought emotional mastery. Focus is a form of mastery. It is the quiet dominance of reason over impulse. When emotions no longer dictate direction, attention becomes powerful, disciplined, and free. You lose focus when you mistake urgency for importance. The Stoics warned that a busy mind is not a disciplined one. Most people allow external demands to dictate attention, reacting instead of choosing. Every request, message, and obligation feels pressing, so nothing receives depth. Focus dies when everything is treated as equally important. Discipline begins when you reclaim the right to prioritize. Not all tasks deserve your energy. Not all problems deserve your concern. Stoicism teaches selective engagement. You are not obligated to respond to everything that calls for attention. When you attempt to handle everything, your mind fractures. Focus requires hierarchy. You must rank what matters and protect it from intrusion. Urgency creates anxiety. Anxiety accelerates thinking. Accelerated thinking reduces precision. The Stoics valued calm deliberation over speed. They understood that haste often produces mistakes, and mistakes multiply distractions. Focus improves when actions are intentional rather than rushed. Many people feel productive because they are constantly occupied. Stoicism challenges this illusion. Activity without direction is wasted effort. Focus is measured by depth, not quantity. One task completed with full attention outweighs 10 done carelessly. Discipline narrows attention so effort is not diluted. The world rewards responsiveness, but Stoicism rewards control. Immediate reaction feels responsible, but it often sacrifices long-term progress. When you allow interruptions to dictate your day, you abandon discipline. Focus requires boundaries, and boundaries require the courage to delay response. The Stoics distinguished between what is necessary and what is merely noisy. Noise demands attention but offers little value. Necessary work is often quiet, slow, and uncomfortable. Focus strengthens when you learn to sit with quiet effort instead of chasing stimulation. Your attention is a finite resource. Every unnecessary task consumes energy that could be invested elsewhere. Stoicism teaches conservation of effort. You do not spend attention carelessly. You allocate it deliberately. This restraint prevents mental exhaustion and preserves clarity. False urgency often disguises avoidance. You answer emails to avoid deeper work. You handle small tasks to escape larger ones. The Stoics viewed this as self-deception. Discipline exposes avoidance by refusing to hide behind busyness. Focus returns when you confront what truly requires effort. The mind seeks relief through completion, even if the task is insignificant. Stoicism trains patience with unfinished discomfort. You remain with demanding work even when easier alternatives tempt you. Focus is sustained by tolerance for incompleteness. You cannot do everything today, and pretending otherwise destroys discipline. Stoicism embraces limitation. When you accept limits, you stop scattering attention. Focus improves because expectations align with reality. You work steadily instead of frantically. The Stoics believed time should be respected, not filled. Filling time creates noise. Respecting time creates purpose. When you treat time as valuable, you guard it. Focus emerges from this respect. You stop allowing trivialities to consume hours. Discipline requires choosing one thing and ignoring the rest. This choice feels uncomfortable because it excludes options. The undisciplined mind fears exclusion. The Stoic mind accepts it. Focus demands sacrifice, and sacrifice strengthens resolve. Urgency pressures you to act without reflection. Stoicism inserts pause. That pause allows reason to assess importance. With practice, this pause becomes instinctive. Focus improves because reactions are filtered through judgment. Most people live inside other people's priorities. Stoicism teaches ownership of attention. You decide what matters. External demands become secondary to internal principles. Focus stabilizes when you act from values instead of pressure. When everything is urgent, nothing is meaningful. The Stoics avoided this trap by defining clear aims. Clear aims reduce noise. Noise reduction restores focus. Discipline is simplified when direction is known. You do not need more time. You need fewer distractions. Stoicism does not add complexity. It removes excess. By eliminating what is unnecessary, focus strengthens naturally. Attention scattered across trivial concerns produces fatigue. Focused attention produces momentum. Momentum reduces resistance. The Stoics understood this cycle and protected their attention fiercely. Focus is not fragile when urgency loses authority. When you decide what deserves attention, external demands weaken. Discipline grows from this autonomy. The disciplined mind is calm under pressure because it knows what can wait. Stoicism teaches that patience is power. Focus is patient attention sustained over time. When you stop confusing urgency with importance, clarity returns. With clarity comes discipline. With discipline comes focus that is stable, deliberate, and unshaken. Focus erodes when you live as if time is unlimited. The Stoics treated time as the most precious resource because it is the only one that cannot be recovered. When time feels abundant, attention becomes careless. When mortality is remembered, focus sharpens. Discipline grows from awareness that every moment spent distracted is a moment permanently lost. Most people behave as though tomorrow is guaranteed. This illusion breeds procrastination. Stoicism confronts this directly through the practice of remembering death. Not to create fear, but urgency of purpose. When you recognize that your time is finite, trivial distractions lose their appeal. Focus becomes a form of respect for life itself. The Stoics believed wasting time was the greatest insult to one's nature. You were not given consciousness to squander it on meaningless pursuits. Discipline arises when you feel accountable for how you spend your hours. Focus improves because time is no longer treated casually. Distraction is easy when consequences feel distant. Mortality collapses distance. It brings consequence into the present moment. The disciplined mind asks not what is entertaining, but what is worthy. Focus follows worthiness. You do not drift into a meaningful life. You construct it deliberately. The Stoics viewed each day as a complete life in miniature. How you use today reflects how you use existence. Focus strengthens when you treat each day as significant rather than disposable. When time is respected, choices become clearer. You stop overthinking trivial matters. You stop hesitating over decisions that do not matter. Focus improves because energy is no longer wasted on indecision. Discipline simplifies life by cutting away excess thought. Many people feel busy, yet accomplish little. Stoicism exposes this contradiction. Busyness often masks avoidance. True discipline is calm, deliberate, and selective. Focus is not frantic. It is steady attention applied where it counts. The Stoics practiced daily review, reflecting on how time was spent. This habit builds awareness. Awareness builds discipline. When you see clearly where your attention goes, you regain control over it. Focus improves through honesty. You cannot reclaim lost time, but you can stop losing more. Stoicism teaches responsibility without regret. You acknowledge waste, learn from it, and adjust. Focus strengthens when you stop dwelling on past mistakes and commit to present action. Time pressure reveals priorities. When hours are limited, you choose differently. The Stoics intentionally imposed mental limits to sharpen judgment. By remembering that time ends, they removed the illusion of endless opportunity. Focus becomes precise when options are finite. Discipline is choosing long-term meaning over short-term relief. Short-term relief wastes time while pretending to preserve it. Stoicism unmasks this deception. Rest is not distraction. Rest restores capacity. Distraction depletes it. Focus survives when you distinguish between the two. The mind resists thinking about mortality because it threatens comfort. Stoicism leans into discomfort to produce clarity. When comfort no longer dominates decisions, focus becomes resilient. You act with intention rather than impulse. You are not owed unlimited chances. This truth strengthens discipline. When opportunities feel scarce, effort increases. Focus intensifies because procrastination becomes expensive. The Stoics believed that living well mattered more than living long. Focus aligns with this belief. You stop trying to fill time and start trying to use it well. Discipline becomes a daily practice rather than a future plan. Many distractions promise relaxation, but deliver emptiness. Time spent scrolling disappears without trace. Stoicism asks what remains after the moment passes. Focus favors actions that leave substance behind. Awareness of time creates urgency without anxiety. This is Stoic urgency, calm, controlled, and purposeful. Focus thrives in this state because it is grounded in reality, not panic. You do not need to rush, you need to be deliberate. Stoicism teaches slow execution guided by clear intent. Focus deepens when you stop racing and start committing. Every moment you choose focus, you affirm the value of your limited time. Discipline is reinforced by repetition. Over time, focus becomes a natural response rather than a forced effort. The Stoics did not fear death. They feared wasting life. Focus is how you avoid that waste. It is attention invested where it matters most. When time is honored, distractions lose power. Discipline strengthens because choices are weighed against consequence. Focus becomes a reflection of respect for existence. Remembering that time ends does not weaken you. It clarifies you. With clarity comes discipline. With discipline comes focus that is intentional, grounded, and enduring. Focus collapses when you depend on external validation to sustain effort. The Stoics believed that discipline rooted in approval is fragile because approval is unstable. Praise fades, recognition disappears, and attention drifts when no one is watching. True focus is internal. It survives in silence. Discipline strengthens only when effort is detached from applause. Most people unconsciously perform rather than work. They focus when they are seen and relax when they are not. Stoicism exposes this weakness. It asks whether you would act the same way if no reward followed. Focus deepens when action is driven by principle rather than recognition. External validation shifts attention outward. You begin monitoring reactions instead of results. This splits focus. One part of the mind works, the other seeks confirmation. Discipline requires unity of attention. The Stoics trained themselves to care more about integrity than appearance. Praise creates dependency. Criticism creates hesitation. Both weaken focus by tying attention to opinion. Stoicism teaches emotional independence. When approval is removed from the equation, effort becomes steady. Focus improves because it is no longer negotiated through ego. The desire to be seen can override the desire to be excellent. You choose visible tasks over meaningful ones. Stoicism rejects this trade. The disciplined mind values substance over spectacle. Focus returns when you stop performing and start building. Validation-driven effort is inconsistent. It rises and falls with feedback. Stoic effort is constant. It is guided by duty, not response. When effort becomes non-negotiable, focus stabilizes. You work because the work matters, not because it is noticed. The Stoics believed character is revealed in private. What you do when no one is watching defines discipline. Focus trained in isolation is stronger because it does not rely on stimulation. Silence becomes a training ground rather than a threat. Seeking approval creates impatience. You want results quickly, so they can be acknowledged. This rush compromises depth. Focus suffers because mastery requires time. Stoicism values slow progress built on consistency. Discipline matures when urgency for recognition fades. You cannot control how others perceive your effort. Stoicism teaches acceptance of this reality. When you stop trying to manage perception, attention is freed. Focus strengthens because energy is no longer wasted on image. The ego wants reward before effort is complete. Discipline delays reward until effort is finished. The Stoics practiced acting without expectation. This expectationless effort sharpens focus because attention is fully invested in the task itself. Validation distracts by shifting goals. Instead of improving skill, you optimize for reaction. Stoicism keeps goals internal. You measure progress against standards, not opinions. Focus improves because benchmarks are stable. When praise becomes motivation, silence becomes discouragement. The Stoics neutralize this by grounding motivation in values. Values do not fluctuate. Focus anchored in values endures. You do not need encouragement to do what is necessary. Stoicism teaches self-command. When you rely on yourself for motivation, focus becomes resilient. You are no longer dependent on conditions. Criticism often reveals insecurity, not truth. Stoicism teaches discernment. You accept useful feedback and discard noise. Focus sharpens when attention is directed toward improvement rather than defense. The disciplined mind does not announce its effort, it commits quietly. Focus cultivated in secrecy is harder to disrupt because it is not tied to outcome. Validation creates comparison. Comparison fractures focus by pulling attention toward others. Stoicism rejects comparison as irrelevant. You compete only with your own standards. Focus improves when attention is reclaimed from external metrics. Effort driven by approval ends when approval is withdrawn. Effort driven by duty persists. The Stoics understood this distinction deeply. Discipline survives only under the second condition. You must become comfortable with being unseen. Great focus is often invisible. Stoicism embraces this invisibility. You work in obscurity because excellence does not require witnesses. When you stop chasing validation, effort becomes lighter. Focus becomes cleaner. Attention is no longer divided between task and reaction. The Stoics believed self-respect was more valuable than admiration. Focus flows naturally when actions align with self-respect. You do not need applause to remain disciplined. Internal motivation is quieter but stronger. It does not spike or crash. It sustains attention over long periods. Stoic discipline is built for endurance, not excitement. When you detach effort from outcome, focus becomes process-oriented. You concentrate on execution rather than reward. This shift deepens attention and improves quality. Validation is temporary. Character is permanent. Stoicism chooses permanence. Focus rooted in character does not weaken under neglect. You do not work to be seen. You work to become capable. Discipline grows when capability becomes the goal. Focus aligns with growth rather than recognition. The Stoics built lives of quiet strength. Their focus was internal, their discipline self-governed. When validation loses power, attention returns home. Focus becomes permanent only when discipline turns into identity. The Stoics understood that habits fail when they are treated as temporary strategies. If discipline is something you do rather than something you are, it will collapse under pressure. Focus stabilizes when behavior aligns with self-image. You act with consistency, not because you force yourself, but because acting otherwise feels unnatural. Most people rely on rules to control behavior. Rules work only when motivation is high. Stoicism moves deeper. It reshapes character. When character changes, discipline requires less effort. Focus becomes self-sustaining because it flows from who you believe yourself to be. Identity is formed through repetition. Each choice reinforces a narrative. When you repeatedly choose distraction, you become someone who drifts. When you repeatedly choose attention, you become someone who commits. The Stoics believed that small actions compound into character. Focus strengthens through accumulation, not intensity. You cannot borrow discipline temporarily. It must be earned through consistency. Stoicism rejects shortcuts. There is no moment when discipline suddenly arrives. It is built quietly through ordinary decisions made correctly. Focus grows when you stop waiting for transformation and start practicing alignment. Many people sabotage discipline by labeling it restrictive. Stoicism reframes it as freedom. When impulses no longer control you, attention is liberated. Focus improves because you are no longer negotiating with desire. You act decisively. Identity-based discipline removes internal conflict. When behavior matches self-concept, resistance fades. The Stoics aimed for harmony between thought and action. Focus becomes easier when the mind stops arguing with itself. You must decide what kind of person you refuse to be. Stoicism uses negative definition as clarity. When you define what you will not tolerate in yourself, boundaries form. Focus strengthens inside these boundaries. The disciplined identity does not depend on circumstance. Whether conditions are favorable or hostile, behavior remains stable. Stoicism trains constancy. Focus persists because it is not contingent on mood, energy, or environment. Most failures of focus occur because effort is treated as optional. Stoicism removes optionality. When discipline becomes identity, effort is expected. Focus becomes routine rather than heroic. You cannot maintain focus by constantly monitoring it. Stoicism teaches trust in process. You build systems, live by principles, and allow results to follow. Focus stabilizes when you stop obsessing over it. The disciplined person does not ask whether they feel like acting. They ask whether action aligns with values. This question simplifies decision-making. Focus improves because ambiguity disappears. Identity-based discipline requires patience. Results arrive slowly, but reliability increases. The Stoics valued endurance over speed. Focus built this way does not collapse under fatigue. You must accept that discipline will never feel complete. Stoicism embraces perpetual practice. Focus is maintained through continual reinforcement. This acceptance prevents complacency. The mind resists identity change because it threatens familiarity. Stoicism encourages courage in this transition. You release old patterns and accept discomfort. Focus strengthens because growth replaces stagnation. When discipline becomes identity, excuses lose credibility. You no longer negotiate with weakness. Focus improves because standards are internalized. The Stoics believed that excellence is a practice, not a state. You show up daily regardless of outcome. Focus becomes dependable because it is habitual. Identity-driven focus does not require constant discipline. It operates automatically. You default to attention rather than distraction. This is the highest form of control. You cannot fake identity. It is revealed under stress. Stoicism trains for pressure. Focus survives difficulty because it has been rehearsed. The disciplined identity values long-term respect over short-term comfort. Focus follows this value hierarchy. You choose effort even when it is inconvenient. You stop measuring days by pleasure and start measuring them by integrity. Stoicism prioritizes self-respect. Focus aligns naturally with this priority. When discipline is identity, setbacks do not derail progress. They are absorbed. Focus returns quickly because it is anchored deeper than circumstance. The Stoics practiced consistency in private to ensure strength in public. Focus built in solitude remains strong under exposure. You become disciplined by acting disciplined repeatedly. There is no separation between doing and being. Focus becomes who you are. Identity-based discipline simplifies life. Decisions require less energy. Focus is conserved rather than depleted. You do not need motivation when identity is clear. Action follows definition. Focus becomes stable and predictable. The Stoics sought inner order. When the inner world is ordered, attention is calm. Focus thrives in structure. Discipline is not suppression, it is alignment. Focus emerges when thoughts, values, and actions converge. When you see yourself as disciplined, distraction feels foreign. Focus becomes default. This is the Stoic end goal, not control for its own sake, but coherence. A mind unified around purpose. Focus achieved through identity does not fluctuate. It endures. Discipline becomes quiet. Effort becomes natural. Attention becomes steady. You no longer chase focus. You embody it. This is how Stoicism rebuilds discipline completely.